Morning, everybody. Like I said, moving on to this next section, there's a lot of articles. Maybe, I think that I counted there's 120-ish. They're kind of broken down into sections, but I organized them so that they're in alphabetical order, so that they're not all, it's random, kind of like regular CrossFit is. It's not random, but it's a little bit more unpredictable. And so I had a couple articles on Rhabdo, and then I read one about Masters this morning. And so those two things I talked about before, but this last one I read was about the mental side to CrossFit and why that is actually just as important, if not more important, than the physical and the technical side of it. So super, super important. There are a couple of key themes here. First thing is that it's really important to set goals. So we always have talked about tying something back to a why or a reason why you're doing something. That's the big overarching theme and maybe your overarching motivator. But when it comes down to setting goals, we need to be specific and concise, right? So you've maybe heard the term SMART goals before, but this article here talked a little bit differently about SMART goals. Or how to set goals. They don't just use the SMART acronym. It's got to be concise and specific. So that means I want to do 10 strict pull-ups or something like that. Or I want to do 50 push-ups in a row without stopping. Whatever it is, like you've got a certain goal that you want to do. It's specific, it's concise. You know you can get there. Next is that the goal's got to be expressed in, number two, the goal's got to be expressed in positive terms. So it needs to be saying like, I want to get this, or even when you're talking about in a workout, if your goal for that workout is to do all of your thrusters in a row, let's say, your goal shouldn't be like phrased as don't put the bar down, right? Your goal should be phrased as I'm going to do all 21 in a row, or I'm going to keep holding onto the bar for all my reps, right? If you phrase it in the positive, you're way more likely to be able to do it. As soon as we phrase something in the negative and you say, don't drop the bar, your subconscious doesn't hear that negative aspect, and all you hear is drop the bar, right? So you don't hear you don't hear the don't, you just hear drop the bar. That's what your subconscious is going through. It's like the classic example, right? If I say, don't think about white elephants, you start thinking about white elephants. It's just what your subconscious does. It's how it works. And then the last thing on goals is that it's got to be, you got to set a time frame for it. So it's got to be, that's where I guess it's kind of the SMART factors, or the when you've heard of SMART goals before, it does come into play. So you got to have, the goal's got to be realistic, it's got to be achievable, and it's got to be done in, you got to set a specific time to get it as well. So it obviously, that depends on where you're starting from. If you want to get 10 strict pull-ups, but you don't have one strict pull-up yet, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get to that 10. But if you've already got 8 strict pull-ups, getting to that 10 isn't going to be such a huge deal, or it's not going to take quite as long. So yeah, that mental side is super, super big. Having a goal to work towards is huge. But then the way that you phrase things as a coach and as an athlete is super big. So if you're a coach and you're walking around the gym, know that what you're saying to your clients or your athletes can make a subtle difference. You probably do. Every coach has the best intentions at heart. But if you're screaming at them, don't put the bar down, don't put the bar down, what are they going to hear, right? They're going to hear, put the bar down. Instead, maybe you say, keep holding on, one more rep, that sort of thing. So you keep phrasing things in the positive, and then that's going to be way more beneficial for you and your clients, because that builds a little bit of a better relationship. You're associating that fitness part, or that push through, with a more positive thing. You're trying to, bring the best out of them, obviously, as a coach, and that's how you're going to do it. So, that's the mental side, or real brief into the mental side. It's not obviously the whole thing. But yeah, that was a really, really good article and a good refresher. So if you've got any questions on that, let me know below, and always phrase things in the positive.